Hey everyone, welcome to Regency Garden. I know it's been a while since I posted an update, so today I'm going to take you through the garden for an updated spring garden tour. Starting with this first bed, I have cosmos growing. They're volunteers. I believe they reseeded when I planted them last fall, so they sprouted in the spring. And then I have yard long beans that are growing nicely. They are actually starting to flower. They've been in the ground since end of February, so it's been about 2 months. And then I have some random marigolds popping up as well. Well, they're not random. They're actually volunteers from last fall as well. There's too much of them. I might have to transplant these. I have cosmic purple carrots, also 2 months in. They're growing nicely. I've checked the root. They're getting bigger, so they're almost ready. I've started harvesting these tatsoi, so I reseeded again because we use it a lot in our cuisine. My Swiss chard is not doing that great. I believe the marigolds are probably suffocating it, so I might have to take those out to give them room to grow. And then the nasturtiums are doing well. They've started flowering. I haven't tried them yet in a dish. I've just been using them for attracting bees. Then onto the second bed, I also have a bunch of yard long beans. The plan is for these 2 yard long bean edges to climb up the trellis and meet each other. So I'm definitely excited for that. I can't wait to be pulling beans from this trellis and having it overflow. I believe I have about a month left until they start fruiting. I still have some Danvers carrots there, and then my contender bush beans. These have been in this bed for about a month and a half. They're already flowered and there's already a bunch of beans in it. So probably a couple weeks I should have a bush bean harvest. Then I have some bunching onions here. They're taking forever to get bigger, but I've already used them and they've already tasted like onions, so I don't really have any complaints about that. They were started from seed, so it's taking quite a while. And then my cilantro have gone to seed, so these are now coriander. I unfortunately don't have any uses for them. I have a bunch of coriander left in my cupboard, but I will try to harvest them so I can save the seeds. Let's move on to this side of the bed. I have cherry tomatoes growing. I bought these from Home Depot during the winter sale. I got 6 plants for $10. They were a bit tiny when I transplanted them, but now they are growing beautifully, and I've already harvested a bunch of cherry tomatoes from them that we've been using almost every day. I also have cosmic purple carrots on this side, and a bunch of marigolds popping up again. I also have nasturtiums, and I believe I have tatsoi over there towards the edge, and some bunching onions. But this is primarily my tomato bed, and they have been giving me a bunch of tomatoes, so I'm happy with that. Definitely worth it. This bed is my squash and okra bed. My squash are growing beautifully on this side. They are flowering. I've already seen a bunch of females, and I'm hoping that this netting will support them. I probably will have to add more stakes. These sunflowers came from my son's school. He started them with his entire class from seeds, so he's super proud about this. He actually transplanted the sunflowers himself, so he's been enjoying going out here in the garden and looking at them, and I'm super happy that he's starting to have a love for gardening. This bed has a bunch of zinnias. I've started them from seeds as well. There's dwarf zinnias in here. I have California zinnias that are mixed in, and a salmon queen zinnia, so they're very beautiful. I'm trying to experiment with adding more flowers into my garden. But let's take a look at the squash. I have about 4 squash plants in here. I know I kind of grouped them all a bit closer together. I was just trying to see how it'll go, but so far they are thriving. These are the Trombonesino squash. They're huge, they're long, they grow about 3 feet long. So I will have to add a sturdier stake because they are getting quite heavy. And I see one of the female flowers have opened up. I was waiting for that. So let's do some hand pollination. I picked a male flower. I'm going to take out the petals so I can expose the male parts of the flower. And once I have that exposed, I'm just going to go ahead and take it over to the female flower and dab all that pollen into the female parts. And that's how you hand pollinate. This is my first time growing this variety of squash, and I'm so excited because apparently it's more disease resistant. And that's something that I've had an issue with my previous squashes that didn't really survive. But this one is looking like it will survive through the summer. I mean spring-ish summer, since the heat is already upon us here in Florida zone 10A. But that's how you hand pollinate, and if that is successful, this will develop into a mature fruit, and I will have a Trombonesino squash in a couple of weeks. In my culture, we use all parts of this plant in our cuisine, so I'm excited to try using the flowers, adding it to my stir fries, our vegetables, stews, even adding some mincemeat in it. I'm going to have my dad experiment. He has a cooking channel. Go ahead and follow that channel. It's called Robel's Kitchen. So I'm going to have him try out a bunch of my crops so he can experiment with it. We are Filipino and we use a lot of this in our daily cuisine. These are my okras. I've also grouped them close together. I also don't really have any more room left in my garden, so I decided let's just stick them in here. They're thriving, and so far they're also flowering. Now this is my leafy veggie bed. I'm growing a lot of bok choys here, and I've already harvested a bunch of them. We do use them a lot daily on our stews. We make soup with it, even hot pot, and some side dishes. So these are Canton bok choy. They're bolting. I don't think they're highly heat tolerant, but the pechay or white stem bok choy, they're known in the Philippines as highly heat tolerant. So it's surviving so far with ample shade and a shade cloth. The purple bok choy here is also doing well, provided they have some shade. And onto this last long raised bed. This is my leftover bed. Leftover bed meaning I just stick in whatever's left over, my seedlings that I grow indoors. But I have tatsoi here as well because we do go through them a lot faster than any of my other crops. And then I have some sugar baby watermelons in the back. This is my first time growing them as well, and I need to research if I have to transfer them because they've been in this bed for about 2 months and they're still small. So maybe they need full sun. But let's go to my corn raised beds. These have been in this bed for also about 2 months. The right side were started indoors, the left side were direct seeded, so there's a bit of a growth difference. And as of today, this corn is actually tasseling. This is the golden bantam sweet corn. I started them indoors back in February 28, and today is April 16. So it's about 3 feet of growth, and The tassel has started, so I'm super excited. They are heavy feeders. I'm having to water them at least twice a day, especially when I notice that the leaf starts to droop or becomes droopy and there's a bunch of yellowing. I just haven't fertilized these at all. I'm not sure if I should be. Please comment or let me know if you guys are fertilizing your corn. But I've been just watering these. And then on this bed is my three sisters garden. I wanted to experiment with that method, so I'm growing pumpkins, corn, and scarlet runner beans. I haven't been successful with my previous scarlet runner beans, so I'm hoping this time they take off, but so far it's also looking sad. But my Seminole pumpkins are growing beautifully, and they're starting to trail out of this bed, and they might take over this side of the garden soon. I have two growing out, and they're looking beautiful, and I'm hoping that I have pumpkins by fall. Now let's go over to my eggplant bed. I have about 14 eggplants in here. I know I grouped them close together. I was also trying to experiment, but you know what? They're thriving. I've already harvested a bunch of eggplants from them. And these were started back in December. Actually, I started them indoors December 9th when it was still super cold out here in Florida, zone 10A. And I transplanted them out here in the yard after our last spring frost date, which I believe was March. I believe first week of March. And I've applied an organic 10-10-10 fertilizer, and that's when the growth exploded. They are now about 2 feet tall, and there's fruits everywhere. This is actually the first time that I've had a successful eggplant harvest, so I believe they are truly heat tolerant. My strawberries are still giving fruits. It's been here since October last fall. I just snack on them. They don't really give me a lot, but they do give quite a few. And then my blueberries are finally ripening. It's been a journey for this. I had to buy a male blueberry just so they can be cross-pollinated, and now they are starting to ripen. So I'm excited for that. Maybe I have about 2 weeks left of that. And then I'm planning for the summer soon, so I started some Malabar spinach. I know they're highly heat tolerant, and my parents wanted to see if we can grow it. And of course, my sweet potatoes. I already started my slips. We Filipinos also eat the slips. The leaves we use in salads and stews. We eat them all sorts of ways. So that's an added bonus for us growing sweet potatoes. But yeah, this is my spring garden. I planted some zinnias outside of my garden fence just to make it look prettier. I repurposed a bunch of our concrete blocks that were just laying around. There's a lot of cleanup that I have to do, but it's a full-time job. I also still work full-time. I work fully remote, but I don't have all day to garden, so I've just been slowly getting out here and doing all the work. I have a bunch of Everglades tomatoes that I started from one plant. Can you believe that? All of these are Everglade tomato seedlings that came from one single plant, and they're all flowering and fruiting. Maybe I have like 60 of them currently, and maybe about another 100 or so of the tinier ones that I still have to repot. I'm actually not sure what to do with them. Maybe start an Everglades grove on the right side of the yard. We still have a huge garden space that we haven't utilized. I'm currently standing on 30 by, I would say 30 by 15 paver patio. But outside of that, they're all ground still, and I can add a bunch more raised beds on it. It's just a lot of work, and just hand watering my garden takes me about an hour in the morning. So maybe I'll look into adding some irrigation when summer comes and I have lesser plants. But right now, capacity wise, it's not possible. I'm also starting these jalapeno seedlings. I had one jalapeno plant that was devastated by the freeze, and I'm so sad because that was my jalapeno plant that I've had for 2 years that's been giving me peppers. And right now I have none. So I'm starting a bunch of them, hoping to have these plants forever again. And you know, forever is however long I can take them in. But this time I will be placing them in pots so I can bring them in the winter and shelter them from the cold. But we're at the end of the tour. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe and come back for more. Bye!